Tesla should have built Giga Mexico and produced cars there. Yes, I know it's a contentious issue. Tesla bought the land, they made the plans, they made the announcement, and then even got as far as drafting it up, but not submitting for permits before pulling the plug, shifting, pivoting towards robotaxi. But I think they should have built it anyway, and I'll tell you why. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So I've got Mark here with me to keep me honest and keep me on track and share his perspective on it because he's been following Tesla longer than I have, at least on YouTube. And here's the thing. I want to start with a disclaimer. I do not have smarter than Elon syndrome because that's not a thing. And anyone giving you advice that routinely fits on a t-shirt is selling you merch, not making you smarter. Elon is not infallible. He'll be the first to tell you, to which his greatest supporters will say, I agree, sir. But then he also says, the sky's purple. And they say, yes, it is. And I go, no, that's just Mark's background. Pouring out through the window. The sky is not purple.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing. So I was against Mexico. I don't know if you remember my videos at the time. I was against it. I said it made no sense.
Why did it make no sense to you at that time, Brian?
Because there were locations that were mentioned. First one was Mexico City. And I said, doesn't make sense. It's way too far south. It's way too far inland. And then, of course, the big announcement on Reuters, they're going to build right here at this old airbase turned airport and fly the cars out. No, they're not. Yeah. I mean, that would add $5,000 a car. You're not going to, that's mental. But then they said, no. Now we're looking at sites in northern Mexico where there is an automotive industry. And I said, 8 hours away from an existing gigafactory that's not even fully utilized? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. So when they announced it, I was the first to post saying that they had announced it. And I got flooded with people saying, oh, don't you feel like a dummy? No, because it didn't make sense. So I did more digging to try and find out how it made sense. So first of all, do you know anything about Mexico's automotive industry?
Well, it's been exploding as of late. It's dealing with a number of countries that, of course, Mexico has trade deals with. Yes. And that allows them to sell cars into markets that we here in Canada and the United States don't have access to. So yes. There are positives in this arrangement. But you're right. It's something that wasn't too clear on the surface. But as you start digging into the weeds, you can see that these pre-existing conditions are there that would help somebody that would have a factory there.
They do have all the pieces. First of all, they've got experience building cars. There have been car factories in Mexico for generations. And I don't mean like a car you've never heard of. I mean like a car you might own. A car you might respect, like the Mach-E is made in Mexico. The Blazer and Prologue are made in Mexico, but other cars as well. BMW's got a factory. Volkswagen has had factories. They have experience. In Terminator 3.3, I call it. It's the most recent Terminator. There was a fight scene that took place in a car factory in Mexico. And I was like, wow. And I looked it up and as I recall, it was a real Mexican car factory in which they held this battle. So they have the experience. Mexico is a manufacturing powerhouse. They're good at it. They know how to build things. They know they're not China, but who is? They also have tons of supply line suppliers. They've got the whole supply chain is there. That's where a lot of the parts for Cybertruck and Texas Model Y come from. There was even a picture once of a Tesla dedicated line for customs at the border because Tesla was shipping in so many parts because Mexico is part of the USMCA. And before that, NAFTA, you could get the parts duty free. So they've got good supplies. But let's talk about your free trade issue. Do you have any guess how many countries the U.S. has free trade agreements with?
I'm going to say
minus
I'm going to
Mexico and Canada.
okay. I'm going to say about another 6.
So it's more like 15 or 20.
Okay.
Last time I'd looked, it was 20. It's probably not 20 anymore because, times have changed. Mexico has no fewer than 40. So it depends how you count it, but they've got a free trade agreement with all of Europe and the most Latin American countries. So if you were to build the exact same car in Texas and as you did in Mexico, you could export it to a whole lot of places. Mexico is in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is why there are so many Chinese imports now. And the answer is not very many, but a growing number. So in terms of exporting, so you've got a country that knows how to build cars, that has reasonable labor, because the labor is quite affordable. Mexico has auto unions, but it's not the UAW. The UAW always tries to get into the new factories, and they're always politely declined. No, we're going to use our own union. We're going to form one just for us because we've seen how you guys operate, and it's never in your members' best interests. So they have sensible unions when they have unions at all. So you've got a country that has affordable labor, knows how to build cars, and can export them. That sounds...
What's not to like?
That sounds pretty good. Well, the cars are still too expensive. Okay. What if they built a compact? Does it need 400 horsepower?
No.
Where would you get the batteries for it? Because Mexico has no domestic battery manufacturing at this time. Well, you'd get them from China, duty free. You'd get your LFPs from China. Batteries that you can't cost effectively get into the US, you would get them in China. And the tariff on those batteries doesn't apply in the same way on a finished car under the USMCA. Now, you wouldn't get your IRA credit, but you could, prior to the most recent trade war, you would have been able to ship those cars into the US. So
certainly a lot of bright spots that a company could take advantage of.
Yes. So yeah, the cheaper battery, make a car with 200 miles of range, maybe even 3, but let's say 2. Put in cloth seats instead of the fancy vegan leather, no panoramic glass, a compact. You've got a lot of savings there. And when you don't have 400 horsepower, you don't need brakes the size of a dining table. It's, there's, and all of those things result in lower curb weight, which gets you right back into the virtue cycle, where you need to spend less on your brakes, your suspension, your wheels, your tires. Exactly. All the pieces are there. But here's the real reason. Well, guys, Brian, you don't get it. We're pivoting to self-driving, to an autonomous future. All those cars would still have FSD suite sensors, right? Wouldn't all of those cars become potential robotaxis? If they were cranking out 2 million of them, wouldn't it be nice to have all of those as potential FSD participants or FSD sales? Even if you were only making $2,000 a car, which Tesla would never stand for, they'd still manage to find a way to make $5,000. The FSD is still worth, as of today, $8,000. And if we find out next month that FSD unsupervised is solved, wouldn't you like to have 1 million or 2 million extra cars out there that can just handle it? 1 million cars at $8,000, that's $8 billion in potential revenue for an over-the-air update.
The sale could just come out over the air. Wouldn't even have to do anything.
Wouldn't have to. All you have to do is process the payment.
Yeah.
And economies of scale. Are you telling me that your cost for the FSD cameras and sensors and chips wouldn't go down if you were buying an additional 1 million or 2 million a year? Let's just say 1 million a year. That would make the economies of scale that you would enjoy from making the compact would make your Model Ys cheaper in every factory, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. But there is an issue. There is an issue if they were to have built it, because times are uncertain. We had an administration change, and a lot of pushing back into just buy American. Don't be importing anything. Don't import parts, let alone vehicles, into the country. You're going to pay a penalty if you do that. We
Mhm.
want you to build that factory in the US and operate it in the US. And
Mhm.
that administration change sent shudders throughout the automobile industry, and it continues to do so. So I understand why there was hesitancy to build something when they could see on the horizon that the table was about to be changed.
Yes, but they also, Elon is the reason the administration changed. That's why he spent so much money. But I would say, great, forget the US market. This is a car that's only going to be sold outside the US. Don't buy American items, US built. Well, this isn't. This is a Mexican vehicle made by Mexican workers. And yeah, I think it's just so much market because that factory was announced in July of 23. It would definitely be online and cranking out cars in huge numbers today. And I did actually, it turns out in my notes, it is 13 free trade agreements with 50 countries, plus the USMCA, sort of, but not really. So they could, if there wasn't a trade war, at least be able to get them into the US.
Yeah.
Um, so the other downsides are, because see, I think the timing was right for the growth, and they would have more ability to roll out robo taxis. Um, and yeah, the value, and well, yes, but uh, the value of a robo taxi is less in countries where labor is cheaper. Yeah, but the retail price isn't. So you can price it at whatever you want. Some of the reasons they didn't, um, well, it costs money.
Yeah.
Do you really want to chew into your pile of cash?
Why not? They're not doing anything else with
They're
it.
not doing it. It's growing faster than you can spend it.
Yeah,
You've got
true.
$36 billion. The factory would have cost two, maybe three, 2 or 3 billion,
Yeah.
less than 10% of your cash reserves. I don't think that's a valid reason. Uh, well, another reason is they wanted to do the Cybertruck first. And that makes sense. I have argued that that makes sense. But the main reason they wanted to do Cybertruck first is because they wanted to get into 48 volt with a lower volume vehicle. Great. Don't do 48 volt then. If the supply chain's not ready, you can't make them be ready. Just make a 12 volt version.
Yeah.
But the Cybercab is coming. Yeah, but it's not here. It's not here yet. This would be here. This would already be on the roads today. We would still be looking at our 50% compound growth.
But would it still be building Model 3s and Ys? Or would that Mexican plant be the one that they wanted to come out with their compact? And if that was the case, this is a brand new vehicle. It's going to take time to get it up and running, especially in a new factory on a new line.
What you would be telling US buyers to prevent the Osborne effect is that this car's not coming to the US. It's just not. If it is, it'll be years from now. If you're waiting for it, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Mm.
We're not going to go through the process of homologation, so you can't just buy one in Mexico and drive it back and expect to register it. So I don't think I understand the reason, and that may be one of the stated reasons, but I disagree with it
Mm.
because, as I said at the top of the show, I'm definitely smarter than Elon. I saw a guy tell someone else, Elon is easily has a 3 times higher IQ than you. And I was like, wow, that's a bold claim. Because even if he's at like 150, you're saying this guy's got an IQ of 50? Forrest Gump was 78. So I don't know what to tell you. And the fear of the tariffs, legitimate, except only if you plan to cross the US Mexico border. If you're not planning to sell them in the US, the tariffs are irrelevant.
Yep.
Uh,
And the addressable market in those trans-Pacific partnership might have covered that. Like being
between
able
Europe,
being
oh
able to
gosh,
say, oh, South America, a growing market that only the Chinese really have entered, being
mm-hmm.
able to come in there with your Mexican product, Man, that could be a real bonus for a company that is in most parts of the world today and looking for a few more. So South America could be that diamond in the rough.
And for every roll on, roll off, row ship that brings cars from China to Mexico, I'd say half of them are going back empty. Well, I mean, missed opportunity there. These cars would sell in China as well. I just think it would have been a real big opportunity there. And then, of course, the other one as well, and I've said this one, lack of cells. People said in the US, instead of Cybertruck, they should have launched with the compact. And I said, wouldn't have worked because they needed 48 volt and they would not have had enough cells. Now it turns out if you could import Chinese cells, we could have had enough cells. You really can't import Chinese cells, but maybe the administration could have softened on that if it was a priority. But the cell crunch didn't materialize in the ways we thought it would. Manufacturers around the world, mostly in Asia, really stepped up and built out a tremendous capacity for cells, for battery cells, and therefore packs. And that meant that somebody can buy them. If there was a factory in Mexico right now making 1 million compact Teslas, they could get the batteries from China pretty easily.
Yeah.
And they'd be LFP cells. So even if the range was only 200, you juice it to 100 every night. So, yeah, it's pretty, I don't know. I feel like it might have been a missed opportunity. And if they could have swung it politically, do you think maybe they could have also done it in India at the same time?
But India drives a hard bargain.
They really do.
They're still going through the throes of getting some sort of a real agreement out, and I think that a year and a half ago there'd be no chance.
I'm going to agree with you. As much as I wanted that to happen, the leadership in India is very protective of their domestic manufacturing of automobiles, of which there is quite a bit, and I think it would have been difficult, problematic. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts in them comments below, and don't have a second batch of questions to respond to because this feels like its own standalone thing. But I will double check and make sure. I might. Yeah, we can. You know what? If you guys are still here, we're still here. Let's go over questions from last week's video on what Roche decided to call "Did Elon just reroute Tesla strategy?" That's an interesting title. But we'll find out the answer to that right here. Maybe Austin's getting vehicles ready for Cybercab. Do you think that's
no? Right, not for June, anyways.
no.
Austin is working on Cybercab or getting ready, maybe for a line to be built, but I don't think they're getting ready for Cybercab to be released from Austin.
We have the benefit of hindsight. We have one more week of information more than Brad Watson had. So no discredit to Mr. Watson, but we now know that they will not be launching Cybercabs in June. Roland Percher just posted that Tesla's having the best quarter in years in Norway so far in Q2. Why is Norway different than the other European countries? Maybe they just got a big allotment from Berlin, which is probably still production constrained. That's my vote for Shanghai too.
Norway is a different European country when it comes to EVs. They were first out front with EVs because they were able to put huge incentives in place for the Norwegian people with the backing of the oil that they pump out of their ground. And they were able to spread that out to people to buy EVs. And the people took it up. It was such a fantastic deal. The price was right. You got free ferry rides. The parking was free. All sorts of perks were rolled into the Norwegian way of selling EVs, and it was highly successful. But at some point, everybody owns an EV, and that is what's currently happening in Norway. You know, we're at like a 90+% of new vehicles being sold.
Did you read me backwards? Tesla's having the best quarter in years in Norway. So I think The question 777 Outrigger wants to know is it possible that there's still delivery waves and Norway's ahead because they just got a big batch and the other countries will get their big batch soon?
Maybe that's the case. Is that
It's
they're
very
being
possible.
shipped more? Yeah.
It's very possible. And again, we get the benefit of hindsight. Today we saw Wednesday we got to see the new China numbers,
Yep.
and it was over 11,000. Now, where's the headline saying Tesla sales up 400% in 1 week?
That's
don't
not
see this.
exciting. That's not exciting. So
It
they
is
don't post those.
exciting. It would be that would be a heck of a headline. People would be like, "Wait, what is going on?" But no, but they're
Nothing.
happy to go with down 70%.
Yeah, they're
So
happy with that. Yeah.
they love it. They love it. Of course they do. As far as the facing of solar panels, by the way, aren't crossovers just station wagons? Isn't a crossover? I mean, like my Model Y, isn't it just kind of a station wagon?
I would say no. It's not. It's not a station wagon. It's there's more room. Yeah, they may have hatchbacks, but are they a station wagon? No, they're not.
I am happy to let anyone pick up the mantle and fight on behalf of that one. When I posted the picture of tacos, a guy said, "Wow, those sandwiches look delicious." And because what is a taco if not a open, a folded sandwich, right?
Yep.
And I said, "What kind of a first day on earth body snatcher comment is that? These are corn tortillas. Corn is not how you make a sandwich. You do not make sandwiches with cornbread." So, but I loved
You
it.
could.
I've never heard of it.
You
could do all
could.
kinds of
You
things.
could do it, but you want to see a station wagon? Go to Google and look up 78 Malibu Classic. That is a station wagon.
I'm going to tell you right now, I bet I know what that one looks like because my mom had a 81 Oldsmobile.
That'd be pretty close.
What'd you say? Malibu Classic?
Malibu Classic.
Okay.
Station wagon.
Oh, no, that's just the classic. Let's add wagon. There we go. Oh, that looks so much like my mom's Olds. I guarantee you when I show you the picture of my mom's, was it an 81 or was it a 79 Oldsmobile wagon? I'm going to tell you. Yeah, it was a 79. This is, you tell me if this is the same car that I'm showing you. I've got to show it to you first.
Yeah, you have to show
this
it.
This is the 78 Malibu Classic, and you tell me if this is not the same car.
It's pretty damn close.
I mean, they're both GM. Yeah. That's I mean, you realize when National Lampoon's Vacation made their truckster, all they did was change the headlights.
Yeah, exactly.
To make it look a little bigger because it was already quite large. So that's great. We're doing the Lord's work here. I'm pretty sure that's true. Thank you for your time and knowledge. Question: why are you guys wearing 2008 earbuds?
Because it's 2008, isn't
it?
What?
So I have
Changed?
fancy earbuds. They just don't stay in well, and people would complain that I would push them back in, and I got tired of the complaints. So just use something that works.
Yeah, exactly. These don't have to recharge. They plug in. The Apple ones are nice. They fit in your ears nice and they stay there.
I have the other tips I can put on, but limited headspace.
Limited headspace.
Not just in my ears. Not just in my ears. Delay equals bad management and demand issues. More car sales at lower price equals more profit. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Great. I'm glad we got through that. I cannot help you any more than that. I don't see why Tesla would release a more affordable model in China when they completely sold out production with the more expensive model, subject to what happened with recent sales, and have they been able to significantly increase capacity again? I'm going to go with too soon to know on those. What do you think?
I think that if Tesla could introduce a vehicle that is cheaper than the Model 3 that they already sell in China, They could open up new markets that they have no access to. Yes, the car is expensive for some, but there is a huge addressable market that's underneath that. And you would be able to open it up in magnitude over what you're currently selling, but you'd have to be able to supply them.
Yes. Yes. This is a good one. Uh, at 401, we were saying that competition is getting better. Somewhat possible. Brian, you went to China, so you know better than most. The competition indeed has improved. Now, the context of this is sales fell off a cliff around May Day.
Right.
Now, I don't think the competition arrived on the 1st of May. I think if
they've
it
been
was
there for a while.
for a while, and nothing changed on the 1st of May. I think if competition was the main factor, we would have seen it gradually happen. So it could be a factor, but again, with the benefit of hindsight, we saw that domestic sales tripled in the last week, more than tripled. That just means that it was premature. Oh, yeah. So let's see if there's anything else we really need to get to. And the last one we'll get to is this one. Any chance Tesla's loading up on parts from China due to tariff uncertainties?
I am sure that some of that might have happened in the earlier days of the tariff scare. A number of companies did this, where they would load up on parts supplies before some of these, or when there was delays in the tariffs being applied. They were coming, but many companies jumped on, let's get as much as we can. We'll put it in our warehouse. We'll hold on to it and see if we can weather the tariff storm. But yeah, that did happen earlier. But the longer that the tariffs are in place, the less possibility that can happen. You're going to run out eventually. You can't spend unlimited money on parts and just have it all forever.
Right. I would say, who was it? Apple, who was flying over plane loads of iPhones in an attempt to save billions in import tariffs.
Yeah.
The problem with car parts, especially the ones that Tesla gets from China, is they're bulky. So I don't know where they would store them all. So it may have happened, I would say, to a small degree, but it also happened very quickly. And none of the parts that I can think of that come from China would have been worth flying. So I don't think they could have gotten them off the boat in time. I will do just one more because it's too good. Mark, did you forget to apply your makeup? Now I understand why media personalities take the time to have makeup applied before going in front of the camera. Good Lord, you put Pink Floyd to shame.
Then my work is done here. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that comment.
Yes, thank you, Modoc51. I think my work here is done too, which means it's time to tell you to head over to Mark's channel, The Tesla Life. I mentioned this in our other show this week, but Mark will be joining us in Michigan. He is one of our guest speakers. I don't know how that happened. It was probably a clerical error. I probably meant to send the invitation to someone else, but we're going to have some fantastic folks. Jordan Kisagi, who speaks at very few events, like without exaggeration, one a year, is coming back for his second year in Michigan because he's a great guy and we made him feel welcome and appreciated and all that. Larry Goldberg will be joining us on stage. Matt Smith, Bradford Ferguson, the Teslatinos, Dirty Tesla, just a whole bunch of folks. And not all at once. That would be chaos. Although last year we did do a Q&A at the end with everyone on stage, and it was chaos. So
the best kind of chaos.
I don't think we're going to do that again. But join us, won't you? TeslaMichigan.org is where you find all the information you need about that. If you live in Idaho, in Boise or Salt Lake or Denver, those are some places I may be stopping along the way to do meet and greets and or presentations. So let me know. It's going to be in June. Middle of June is when the drive begins. And and thank you to everybody who supports me on Patreon, on YouTube as a channel member, on X as a subscriber. Those couple bucks here and there are how I'm able to do all these great things. And I thank you guys so much for it. In the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? What do you want us to answer? Who knows? I don't, but I'm very curious to find out. And everybody else, stay tuned Stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots in Michigan.